Hello everyone, hope you're right. In today's video I'm going to show you how my garden is doing in the last week of April. So we are in the middle of spring and things are starting to burst back into life, and you can see the garden is looking quite full. I have done quite a lot of work since we moved into this garden, so everything is doing really well up to this point, and I really wanted to share with you how the garden is progressing. So here you can see the garden arch, which is from Garden Forest. We installed these here ourselves when we moved into this house, and I have flanked the arches by these two beautiful containers with junipers in them. I trimmed them so they look like tree palm, so I'm hoping to prune them into a topiary as they grow thicker. And underneath there are creeping phlox which should be blooming in summer, like pink beautiful blooms. So they are growing nicely. They have grown quite a lot. I planted them last year and I'm hoping that they will bloom for me this year. Here is the walkway under the arches where we laid these slabs, which are basically repurposed tires, and they are looking beautiful. The grass is a bit overgrown and I do want to mow the grass, but we are having quite a lot of rain, so I am waiting for a dry spell for a week or two, so then I can mow the grass. On either side of the arch I have got some climbing plants. Here is the grapevine which I brought from my previous garden. It was in the container and it had quite a lot of fruit damage, but it is starting to grow now, so I hope it will recover. Here is the climbing rose which I planted here, and this is like peachy pink rose, so it should be growing and covering this side of the arch. I planted my ranunculus on this side, so I sprouted them inside my house and then I planted them here last week. Since then they have been looking a bit tattered, but this happens when you transplant the plants outside and they will recover soon. Here some of the pansy plants which were self-sown in my container, so I took them out and planted them here. On this side of the arch I have got my jasmine plant which was also in a container. I brought it from my previous garden and it is in its third year now, so it should be growing quite vigorously this year. And there is another grapevine here which was also in the container and had the root damage due to vine weevil larvae, so it is starting to grow as well. Here I planted my anemones and few of the pansy plants. I planted these box plants around this circle and you can see they are growing nicely. They are having new growth and hopefully they will fill up soon, making it like a hedge. And here I planted 3 or 4 lavender plants which I also brought from my previous garden. They are showing new growth as well. I planted few dianthus sweet williams here and there, one patch here and one there, which I dug out from my previous garden. They were like self-sown small plants, so I dug them out and I brought them with me. Here you can see I have got these cyclamens which were already in this garden growing in another spot, so I dug them out from there and put them here. And few pansy plants here and there which were all self-sown, and you can see they are starting to grow now. This rhododendron is starting to flower and you can see its beautiful flowers here. One is just opened, looking really beautiful. And this is not looking quite good, this rhododendron plant, so I will give this a year or so. I will feed it with an acidic fertilizer and I hope it will recover. I have got this bay laurel here which I also pruned in a tree form. You can see its buds, soon it will be flowering. And I planted few hydrangea plants in my garden. I love hydrangea plants, and I chose different colors like red, blue, pink, white, and this is the white one. I planted it here, and hopefully it will grow for me beautifully. And this clematis which I planted here, I'm going to put obelisk here for it to climb on. This is my apple tree which was in the container, and it had quite a lot of fruit damage as well. You can see it has got its flower buds. Soon it will be flowering. This plant is the showstopper at the moment. You can see it's beautiful flaming new growth. This is Pyrus, and it has got its beautiful pink new growth which looks like flames from a distance and like flowers. These are actually leaves, I guess, and looking absolutely beautiful. I am really amazed with it. A couple of weeks ago it was just like the old yellow leaves like these, and I was thinking what this plant will look like, and within a week it started to grow and it burst into all these beautiful pink leaves, and I was so amazed by its beauty. I have got these apple trees which were already here in this garden, quite well established, and we can expect a good harvest of apples. Here is the holly plant, and it is past its glory now. Leaves were quite red earlier in March and looking beautiful, and they are turning brown now, and I guess they will turn green. Schemia, which is evergreen, and it's flowering now, and I spotted a ladybug here. Really beautiful, and it's looking nice. And this is the rose plant. It's orangish color. Hopefully it will grow. I put all these grow bags here and the container where I had my garlic plants, so they are doing well. And this is the plant which I have just planted last week. It is some kind of conifer, can't remember the variety and name. My blueberry plant is not looking really good. I will give it a year to see how it performs. I may just replace it with something else. And these are subsown pansies. Here is a cherry tree which is absolutely beautiful. You can see its double flowers, really pretty, so beautiful. Even if it doesn't produce any cherries, it's still like is stealing the show. It's absolutely beautiful. It's not very huge or thick, so hopefully it will grow and fill up much better in coming years. Here is another hydrangea plant which I planted last week. This is the red one, and it's doing good. There's a clematis at the back which I also planted last month, and I wanted to climb on this trellis. This is red robin photonia with this beautiful new red growth, and here's another one which is much larger, and it has also got loads of flowers coming. This is a melanchia tree, and it's started to flower now. You can see it's looking absolutely beautiful, really glorious and catching your eye, covered with all these white flowers. Absolutely amazing. I was thinking like what tree is it, and looking like searching for it, and once it started to flower I immediately knew that it is amelanchia. Absolutely beautiful. There is my bird bath behind this photonia, and I have spotted quite a lot of birds visiting my garden, and you can see all the mulch that has been messed up by blackbirds. They keep coming and digging and making a mess in my mulch, but that's okay, I can put it back. And this is the nectarine tree which I brought from my previous garden. It was in the container and I planted it last year, and it was rooted quite well, and I guess it will be okay here in this new spot. Here is another schemia plant which is done flowering now. You can see its spent blooms, And here is my plum tree, which hasn't got much blooms this year. And here is another hydrangea which I planted. This is the pink one, looking good. And here I installed some raised beds. I sowed radish seeds here directly, and they are coming up now. Another raised bed where I sprinkled spinach seeds, they are coming up, and some of the lettuce plants which I sowed in winter and overwintered them. And there's another hydrangea over there, which is the blue one. Let's see if it blooms blue, because you know hydrangea flower color really depends on the soil pH. If it's acidic, it will be blue. If it's alkaline, it will be pink. But all these hydrangea plants were like sold as blue, pink, red and white, so I will wonder if they bloom differently for me. This plant, I'm not quite sure yet. This tree, it's really beautiful, you know, it's multi-trunk, absolutely beautiful bark, and it's has got lots of buds. Soon it will be flowering, so I will look again what is it, but looking really beautiful. There is an Asclonia, which is also multi-trunk, quite big, and the new growth is looking good. The old growth is bits, you know, has got spots, and this always happens with Asclonia. I have searched online and it's quite common with them, so hopefully once the new growth comes up and it starts to flower, it will be okay. These are my strawberry plants which I brought from my previous garden. I planted them here in this raised bed and under there. They are taking off now, so hopefully we will have good harvest of strawberries. These are my stepping stones which I put here in the garden around the circular lawn, not quite circular. So I really love these paving stones, and I was like, I do want them in my garden, so they bring a whimsical effect to the garden. So kids also have lots of fun moving around them, and they look amazing. This is maple tree, grown really well and well established, and it is starting to leaf out now. Here are my containers which I brought from my previous garden. This is the azalea plant which is suffering quite a lot. I would have to replace it with something else, I think. In my previous garden last year, it did not perform well and it's still suffering. See, here are my raspberry and blueberry bushes, and they are starting to grow back now. Shrubs on fences, looking amazing. Like very little work you have to do. I once planted pansies and violas, and now they come up for me every year with beautiful blooms and colors, so I let them go. And here I planted an ivy plant which I need to relocate to somewhere else. Some more strawberry plants here. This is my kiwi vine, starting to grow back and looking okay. It will be its third or fourth year, but every year once it leaves out fully, it gets lots of spider mite infestation, so I will give it another year to see if it does anything for me. Otherwise I would have to replace it. And these are stock plants, I guess, which I planted in autumn, and they are coming back now. I need to plant them in the garden. Some spring onions, some pea seeds, and they are coming up now. And this is just empty. I need to put something in there. These are scabious plants which I planted last year, and they're coming back. They survived the winter, and we had really harsh winter, so this was like a surprise that they survived the winter and they will come back for me now, so I can put them in the garden. This is forget me not, and it's starting to bloom. I need to plant it in the garden as well. This container I brought with me from previous garden. I have got camellia here and some self-sown pansies, worms, which I will take some out and put in the garden. Ivy plant. Camellia plant is still young, so I want it to be like a central feature in this container. These and mums will be like fillers, and the ivy as pillar. Of course mums will bloom in autumn and the pansies will bloom now, so once the pansies are done I can put some summer blooming annuals like petunias in there. Here are my plants which I brought from my previous garden. I will keep them in the container this year, and for next year I will plant them in the garden. All my daffodils here in these containers, because we were moving the house, so I had to put my flowering bulbs, spring flowering bulbs, in the containers. They are doing good and looking beautiful. So once they are done, I will dig them out and plant them in my garden, so then I can use these containers to grow my veggies. My mint container, which is like 4th or 5th year now, every year it comes back for me. Some few other containers which still need to be planted. So lots going on in the garden and lots to do in the coming weeks, so it's going to be quite busy in May. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you want to stay updated about the progress of my garden, please subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon so you don't miss out on any of my gardening videos. Thank you very much for watching today. See you next time. Bye.